Hello and welcome back to my stuttering and mumbling guide to Dark Souls. We're going to be going from here, which is the Firelink Shrine, to the Undead Burg, with a couple of pit stops in between to pick up some items. Just now I'm looking through the game's upgrade system. You can use the select button to get a description of each of the stats or attributes, whatever you want to call them. We're going to be concentrating on, in this build, vitality, endurance, strength and dexterity at the beginning. Strength and dexterity are modifiers for your damage output, and certain weapons require a minimum level of strength or dexterity to wield the weapon either in one hand or two hands. I'll explain more about that later. Endurance modifies stamina, and vitality modifies health. I'll let the Crestfallen warrior speak because he has something important to tell us.
A new arrival. Let me guess. Fate of the undead, right? Well, you're not the first. But there's no salvation here. You'd have done better to rot in the Undead Asylum. But too late now. Well, since you're here, let me help you out. There are, actually, two bells of awakening. One's up above in the Undead Church. The other is far, far below, in the ruins at the base of Blight Town. Ring them both, and something happens. Brilliant, right? Not much to go on, but I have a feeling that won't stop you. So, off you go. It is why you came, isn't it? To this accursed land of the undead?
So, the Crestfallen warrior acts as a guide, giving you the game's first direction or goal. He reiterates what Oscar of Astora told us about the bells of awakening, one up above and one below. We're going to quickly go to another character here. His name is Petrus of Firelink. He is a follower of the Way of White. He's a snivelly, conniving,
I believe we are not acquainted. I am Petrus of Firelink.
Creepy character.
Have you business with us? If not, I'd prefer to keep a distance, if possible.
He's scheming and not to be trusted. You'll see that he tries to gain our trust with some trinkets and all.
Hello there. I realize that I have requested that we retain our distance, but I also want you to know that it is not meant in ill will. Here, take this, as a token of peace. No, go ahead. It's for you.
Wow, a copper coin.
Oh my, you again. Oh, I know. How about this? I have to await my companions here anyway. So what if I were to teach you some miracles? Would that please you?
I'm trying to gain your favour.
Very well. Then first, a covenant with the god.
This is the only useful thing he does for you as a new player. Covenants confer advantages and whatnot on characters. There's different covenants in the game. Again, that's another aspect we'll go into later.
Their ultimate effectiveness will be determined by your efforts and your faith.
You can purchase faith-based items. He sells talismans and spells, I guess. You can learn gestures from them.
My companions are Milady and her young knights. She is young, but burdened by an undead mission. We are her defenses, to keep her from harm.
So it's interesting that he mentions...
Come again. The effectiveness of the teachings
companions.
Depend upon
Maybe we'll encounter them later on in the game. Joining the Covenant's a good idea for new players because I believe that FromSoft intended for the Way of White Covenant to decrease the probability of PvP invasions against new players. I believe it modifies the way new players are ranked in the PvP servers. They're basically put at the back. Anyway, we come down here and find a secret stash. I point up the way to inform you of who the stash belongs to, i.e. Petrus himself. It's likely that he put this stuff here. Pick up Homeward Bones, I'll explain them later. This basically confirms it's Petrus' Morningstar and Talisman. cracked red eye orbs, which are a multiplayer item, basically allowing you to invade other worlds. The homeward bones allow you to warp to the last bonfire that you rested at without losing your souls or your humanity or anything. Very useful, especially earlier on in the game. We come down here and pick up Lloyd's Talisman, and these are used by followers of Allfather Lloyd, and they stop undead from being able to use Estus Flask to heal. We'll actually encounter an enemy or an NPC later on who uses them against us. You can see the spawning skeletons. I was going to pick up a soul item, but decided it was best for me to get back to the bonfire to restart all the spawns. And those skeletons, you're not really supposed to start fighting them until a little bit later on in the game. Some new players venture off, they disobey or disregard what the Crestfallen warriors explain to them about going up the way, and they start off down the way, and that can lead to a lot of trouble. This treasure chest here, if you lose anything important in the game as you progress through the game, you can return to this treasure chest and it will still be sitting there for you. It's only for very specific items that would break the game otherwise if you lost them. We pick up that soul item, the one that I was too scared to pick up because of the skeleton chasing after us. There's quite a few items around Firelink Shrine that are useful to new players. There are items in the graveyard from where the skeleton spawned that could be helpful to new players. It's basically just a crash and burn, that's the wrong phrase to use, but basically you would just be like a hit and run adventure through the graveyard, picking up items and getting back to the bonfire as quickly as possible to reset the spawns. We pick up fire bombs here. Fire bombs can be useful for new players against some of the early game bosses. That is where we're going to be going soon, but not quite yet. I think I already picked up the humanity from that corpse that's lying over the well, and you pick up 3 humanity there, so don't forget to do that. Here we encounter a Firekeeper. I believe that all bonfires are supposed to have Firekeepers below them. The Firekeeper's duty and responsibility is to keep the fires lit. This one doesn't speak, at least for the time being. You can reinforce your Estus Flask. What that means is you find the Firekeeper's soul, and that's what we are going to go and do just now. And you bring it back here, you give it to her, and she will upgrade your Estus Flask. You can upgrade your Estus Flask by 6 levels in your first playthrough. In New Game Plus you can upgrade it one more time after that to +7. And basically upgrading the Estus Flask, with each upgrade you get a greater proportion of your total health back from each swig of the flask. We're coming down here to the new Londo Ruins to pick up this Firekeeper's soul. A lot of people mistake this light here as a moon. Despite its irregular shape, it doesn't look anything like a moon. We're actually underground, and that's actually a hole in the ceiling, allowing light to stream through. Again, another soul item here. You'll encounter more of these docile hollows. There's absolutely no point in engaging them in combat unless you want to practice the combat mechanics. So we're in the new Londo Ruins. It's quite an eerie place. It's definitely got a very chilly atmosphere. Despite that, you've got this guy luxuriating over here. If you come down here, especially if you're a magic or a faith build,
well, this is unusual. You haven't lost your head.
It's worthwhile coming down here.
How on earth? Well, I shouldn't pry. I'm Rickett of Vinheim. I was once an established smith, though. Look at me now. Can you believe it?
Despite being imprisoned in a creepy place, he doesn't seem too fussed by it.
Have you? Oh no. Don't worry, I've no intention of escape. It's safe here. Can't bear the thought of going hollow out there. Although, I must admit, not much to occupy myself. How about this? I could forge your weapons, albeit with rather minimal tools. I'll show you what made me the best in Vinheim.
So this is the smithing menu. It allows you to upgrade your weapons and your armour and whatnot. We don't have the materials for that yet, we'll pick them up as we progress through the game. You can ascend weapons here, which basically, if you have a normal +5 weapon, you can ascend it based on different weapon builds. Rickard specialises in magic weapons, so if you're and magic is modified by putting points into your faith stat or attribute. So he's worth coming to if you're a faith-based character, like a cleric or whatever. Here we pick up Transient Curse. Transient Curse does exactly what it says it does. It temporarily curses you. The purpose of that is for you to be able to interact with a certain enemy, a non-corporeal enemy. Without the Transient Curse you wouldn't be able to hit them. They can hit you, but you wouldn't be able to hit them. I think we're going to have a wee look at the description. The only way to fight back against ghosts who are cursed beings is to become cursed oneself, which is a nice tautology. But yeah, you need to use these items, and that's another thing, never buy transient curses. You can buy them from certain vendors, but do not buy them because there's an enemy class who drops them. In fact, it's the enemy, the non-corporeal enemy that drops them. We're about to see one of these ghosts. There he is. Oh shit. Just avoid them just now. We're simply coming down here to pick up the Firekeeper's soul. Once I've picked it up, there it is in front of us. Be careful here, you can fall off the ledge and die. But now that we've got the item, we're just simply going to kill ourselves. We don't need the 341 souls, we'll get them later on. We'll make them up. Don't pop your humanities until after you've picked up the Firekeeper's soul, because you're going to kill yourself and you won't be going back for them yet. So we reinforce the flask. And I think that's a useful thing for new players to do. Definitely helps. Especially because the other bonfires, this is one of the few bonfires, if not the only bonfire, that starts off at 10. The other bonfires begin at 5. And 5 Estus Flask, and if you want 10 you have to kindle the bonfire with humanity. I'll explain more about that later. We encounter the first hostile enemies in Lordran. You can see he was staggered when he hit me there when his sword rebounded off my shield. Again, don't rush in. Get behind or to the side of an enemy and take your time dispatching them. Be careful for that hollow above throwing firebombs at us. Here's a backstab mechanic, and we're invulnerable to his firebombs while we perform that manoeuvre action. There he is. So take out this enemy first, this one here. Normally the firebomb chappie doesn't come out that far, and I'm not aware who this I think it's the guy from above up on the bridge that's came down, but it's not, it's actually a firebomb chap. So I was a bit confused there, didn't expect him to throw firebomb at me. Easily dispatched. Going to come up here and pick the soul item up. There's a couple of items below that we haven't picked up yet, so we'll go back and get them. What you do is you hold down B to run, and while you're holding down B, you tap it again quickly to jump. It can take a bit of practice to get the hang of. There's many a time I've fallen between the gap of this bridge and that cliff. You have to be careful as you navigate your way around the pillars here as well. We're going to pick up what's called the Ring of Sacrifice. Ring of Sacrifice allows you to die, allows an enemy to kill you, but you still retain all your souls and humanity. The ring will break after that, so it's a one-time use thing. It's worth holding on to. Don't use it until you come to a boss or an area that you think there's a high chance to perish. Come back here. I hate rats. Rats in this game really, I don't know, they've got a staggering ability to break your poise, despite, even if you've got heavy armour on and whatnot, they can still knock you off your balance, and they actually inflict poison damage, which can be a real pain in the ass. Come up here. I tried to do a move here that doesn't come off. You press B to jump back, and then while you're doing that you simultaneously press the attack button, or you just slight delay in pressing the attack button, you instantly jump forward with an attack. It can be a very powerful way of killing enemies. What I do here is run and slice. The running attack can be very helpful at times. When they're doing that Benny attack, you're better just to allow them to expend all their energy and then attack them. I wouldn't get close to them while they're seizing or whatever it is they're doing. We're not going to go through the fog gate straight away. We're going to pick up these items down below. I think new players sometimes miss this section of the Undead Burg, but it's worth coming down here, especially if you're a new player, because there's a few items. I point to a hollow who's clinging on by his fingertips. Don't be fooled or surprised by these guys. A lot of people miss this room as well because the walls kind of blend in with the wood, but if you come in here you'll pick up another soul item. I'm still trying to get my bearings. You're better just to stand off enemies when they're performing that attack. I miss terribly here. It seems to anger that hollow. So we've got two enemies now to fight. Don't panic. Just strafe around the room until you get the opportunity to attack. There's nothing back here. I thought there might have been something, but there's nothing. There's nothing in these barrels either, but the physics in this game is excellent at times. Now if you come back out here you'll see 4 of these hollows grasping on for dear life. We're about to relinquish them of that grit that we've got on the wood. There you go, you can do that and take 2 of them out at least. Don't know where the third one went. Oh, there it is over there. You can see that where we were in the backstab animation that we were invulnerable to damage from this hollow. That did say rubbish, yep. You might wonder what is the point of picking up rubbish? Well, remember I mentioned Snuggly the Crow. There might be an opportunity at some point later on in the game for us to trade with him, and trading that rubbish will be one of the things that we do. I love that there's so many nooks and crannies in this game for a player to explore. It's definitely worth coming up. It's definitely worth coming here to pick up all the items I've picked up since dropping down earlier. Try the plunging attack, and that works. We get 137 damage off against that enemy. Remember what I said about fog gates. Be very wary when you're coming through them. FromSoft are gentle to us here. They give us an easy one. But sometimes you have to be diligent and prepared for battle. Some people claim you can jump from here to there. I've never seen it happen, but I believe it's possible. That's one of the game's more memorable moments. We'll encounter that angry drake again later on. I don't know what the difference is between a dragon and a drake, but most people refer to him as a drake, I believe. This area here can be tricky for new players, even for experienced players if they're not careful. The problem stemmed from that sniper with his crossbow up above. You want to pull the hollows down to this corridor and dispatch them as quickly as possible before you take too many hits. There you go, you can even hit me from here. No reason to panic though, we've got 10 Estus Flasks, so we've got plenty of opportunity to heal. Yep, absolutely. So we'll rest this up, restore our health, and there's another sneaky hollow behind that wooden panel. Ah, agile hollow. Again, I'm taking too many arrows here, I'm being careless. Managed to get my shield up in time there. There's a door there, some people miss that I believe. Come in here, the item's not really worth picking up, but yeah, it's good to collect all the different items, read their descriptions and see what they're all about. So you can pick up the wooden shield there, it's basically worthless. Can't wait to miss, but his arrow goes right through me without damaging me. He's a particularly annoying enemy. To the left is a bonfire, but we're not going to go in there right away because there's something I want to do before we tag the bonfire and respawn all the enemies. This is a PvP hotspot, I believe. So if you're in human form here and you're not with the Way of White Covenant, I guess there's a possibility of you being invaded. These are these enemies. To attack them, you press the left thumbstick up and the right bumper. I think that is the correct way to perform the kick maneuver. Kicking exposes an enemy to your attacks. It's the best way of taking out these two guys, or at least exposing them to attack. Careful of this guy, hides behind the furniture. He must have been waiting there a long time for us. Again, momentarily staggered. No problem taking him out. If you come through this door, you'll encounter the first vendor of the game. Proper vendor.
Well now, you seem to have your wits about you, hmm? Then you are a welcome customer. I trade for souls. Everything's for sale.
You can pick up... First of all, I would say, don't kill this. The NPC is the only person that you can buy certain items from. I believe he's the only person you could buy Lloyd's talismans from if these items are important to you. The residence key, we'll come back to pick that up at some point. Bottomless box. Bottomless box is basically an inventory management system. Something we'll pick up later on in the game. It's not necessary just now. Don't waste your souls on it. I'm a big fan of the Reinforced Club. I like its moveset and the fact that if you look down to the bottom left where it says auxiliary effects, it has a 300 damage modifier next to the bleed icon. So it inflicts bleed against non-armoured enemies. Particularly good against things like the Asylum demon and whatnot, because they have no
Things are
armour.
getting treacherous in these parts. A horrible goat demon has moved in below, and up above there's that humongous drake and a bull demon too. If you stick around this place, it might end up being your grave.
What's he stroking?
Here, I'm not here to chit-chat. We talk business, or we talk nothing at all.
Some
What a
people contend that he's stroking a Uchi-katana sword called Julia. I'm not sure. He's a strange character, that's for sure. Come down here, counter 4 hollows. we do the parry and riposte move, but the attack animation doesn't kick in. The proper attack animation, I mean. I'm going to try out the Morning Sword here. Morning Sword has also got a bleed effect, so it should be particularly deadly against these non-armoured hollows. Doesn't inflict, I don't think, as much damage as our Battle Axe, which doesn't have the bleed modifier. But yeah, I think the way bleed works is you get a number of hits in, and basically you've lacerated your enemy's skin, and they suddenly take on a massive amount of damage. It's something that you'll see later on in the game, and one of the enemies that we encounter. Pick up the throwing knives. Remember that broken bridge I said we could jump over? I'd never seen somebody do it before. Well, you go up to the roof and you jump from there. There's nothing in these barrels, but I just want to make sure that's the case. Jumping in this game can be treacherous at times. Oftentimes you'll plummet to your death. We pick up the crossbow and it's the light arrows. Crossbows in this game are really pretty crap. You're better off with a long bow or a short bow, or any of the other types of bow. We'll pick one up a little later on in the game because it's useful. It helps you to draw out enemies, and you can direct it with a lot more ease than you can the crossbow. With the crossbow, you have to have your target reticuli on the enemy for it to basically work. So we'll go in here, we'll sit at the bonfire, we'll light the bonfire first. That was the difference I was talking about earlier between sitting and lighting. So we've lit the bonfire, we really have to sit at it to respawn all the enemies. We're going to increase, like I said before, we're going to concentrate on dexterity, endurance, strength and vitality, at least for the first few parts of this game. It's worth increasing stamina because stamina allows you to be more offensive and more defensive. With more stamina you can get more hits in, with more stamina you can take more blocks with your shield. Anyway, we'll continue on from Firelink Shrine next week, in the next episode, and from there we'll be going up to the parish. I hope this guide has been helpful, and see you next time.